Arajitab kolenjin tagat missing ketestai ak tetutiet nebo ikwenye emet neitung'et eng ketesiet nebo Kass TV kila kwaeng kasi ak kotkai tugul kora ko yekitestai ak tetutiet ketindoi boroindo keng'alal ak tondet en studio nito bo Kass TV ak en betutab rani en studio en tetutiet noto bo ikwenye emet ketindoi keljin missing kenyorun tondet en oliep studio kimiten ak Mheshimiwa David Ole Sankok inendet ko agenge en kandoik chekimuch kelewen en emetab Kenya kotokchigei bunge noto bo East Africa Legislative Assembly EALA ako miten en komosatak. Mheshimiwa, karibu sana katika studio za Kass TV.
Asante.
Yes, hii ni nasema ni favor kwetu ambao umeweza kutengeneza wakati umefika hapa ili tuweze kujadiliana kuhusu mambo kadha wa kadha ambayo yanahusu nchi yetu ya Kenya na pia katika ule muungano wa mataifa ya Afrika Mashariki. Kwa hivyo asante sana kwa kuja na tunatumai by the time tunamaliza hii kipindi watu watakuwa wameelewa sana kuhusu ile kazi mnafanya pale EALA. Kwa maana wakati mwingine watu hawaelewi.
Ni kweli?
Some people don't understand the role, the benefit that we get as member states from the East Africa Legislative Assembly.
Yes.
So tonight we are hoping that we'll shed more light on that particular issue. And probably first of all, before we kick off,
yes,
maybe just a word to our viewers who may be seeing or looking at you for the first time. That camera is yours. Just say hi to the people of Rift Valley, people from all over the world who are watching Kass TV.
Good evening, all the citizens of Kenya and outside Kenya who are watching Kass TV. You know, Kass TV is a very powerful TV station in Kenya that is not only watched within Rift Valley, but throughout Kenya and through the digital platform. I've interacted with people who watch it from America, from other Middle East, from European countries,
yes,
and even those who watch from the Far East. I greet all of you and give you my greetings on behalf of myself, on behalf of the 8 countries of East African community,
yes,
being led by the Federal Republic of Somalia, Republic of Kenya, the Republic of South Sudan,
yes,
Republic of Uganda, United Republic of Tanzania, ikiwa na Zanzibar, with the Republic of Rwanda, Republic of Burundi, and finally the Republic of Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yes.
So I greet you all and tell you welcome to our economic bloc,
yes,
which is one of its own kind in the world.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. Probably just as we start this, what is happening currently is that you are in Nairobi.
Yes.
And you're being hosted at the Parliament buildings,
yes,
by the Kenyan Parliament. And you have been here for the past 1 week,
yes,
or so, and you'll be here for a 3-week session,
yes,
which is it the 5th session?
It is the 3rd session.
The 3rd session.
Of the 3rd meeting of the 2nd session of the 5th Assembly.
Quite confusing. 3rd meeting, 2nd session,
of the 5th Assembly. Yes.
And of course, the President was there to welcome all of you to Nairobi.
He opened.
And that was a moment for him to actually try to advance his own agenda, his own vision for the community. And I just wonder, from that opening address that he gracefully gave to the Parliament, the East African Legislative Assembly, what were your key takeaways? Because of late he has been very vocal on some issues of climate, issues of climate, issues of women agenda. Before we delve into you as a member of EALA, just a sneak peek into what you took away from that address.
Yes, and I think before even we go to that, it is good for Kenyans and those who are watching us to know actually what is East African community.
Yes.
And what is the agenda? What does it strive to achieve?
Yes.
And I want to enlighten people that East African community is an economic bloc. You know, there is a vision of our Pan-African forefathers. And there were 2 lines of thoughts. The first line of thought was advanced by Julius Nyerere, that for us to be able to unite Africa and remove these colonial boundaries,
yes,
that are placed on us. Colonial boundaries because there are Maasais in Tanzania, there are Maasais
in Kenya.
In Kenya.
Yes.
But some colonial masters sat in Berlin in 1884 and decided to divide Africa the way they wanted. And us as Africans were divided in terms of kingdoms. There was the Maasai kingdom, there was the Buganda kingdom, there were the ones that was led by Haile Selassie. Just like we have the United Kingdom led by the late Queen Elizabeth, 65 years, never elected, there is no democracy. They were just led like that because it was a kingdom. But for us, they started now what we call political social neocolonialism by trying to brainwash us
and influence
into using something like calling democracy and so on. So there was that line of thought advanced by Julius Nyerere that for us to unite Africa, let us have very strong economic blocks. Those blocks will now become the building blocks of the United States of Africa. There was another line of thought advanced by Kwame Nkrumah. For him, he wanted an instant United States of Africa and forming the United States of Africa.
Yes.
But later on, all of us bought into the Julius Nyerere school of thought because having an agreement, a treaty between 54 states was very difficult. But starting as the East African community of only 3 states, having their own treaty, and then admitting more members the way we have done, now we are 8, up from the original of 1963, 3 of them.
Yes.
Now we are 8 of us, and there is also SADC, and there is ECOWAS, and there is all those economic blocks.
Yeah.
Later on, now signing a treaty among those economic blocks will be easier, and it will be easier for us to have an overall treaty for the United States of Africa.
Yeah.
Now, the East African Economic Bloc is a bloc like no other in the world because we are strategically placed.
Yeah.
We are the only economic bloc that touches on 2 major oceans and a sea. We touch on the Atlantic Ocean through DRC and also the Indian Ocean through Kenya, Tanzania, and Somali, and the Gulf of Aden together with the Red Sea through Somali.
Yes.
So we can literally export and import our goods. We can do business to the Far East using Indian Ocean.
Yes.
Those are countries of Japan, China, the whole of Asia.
Yes.
And then we can do business with the Middle East and European countries using the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. We can also do business to the United States of America, Canada, North America and South America, Brazil, Argentina, all of them, Chile, using the Atlantic Ocean through DRC.
Yes.
So we are economically, strategically placed as an economic bloc of East African community. Again, it is only East African community which have a coastline that is longer than any other regional bloc.
Yes.
We have a coastline of 6,500 kilometers.
From Tanzania
all
up
the way to
Somalia.
Yes. And then again in DRC.
Yes.
We also have 1.4 billion acres. 1.4 billion acres. And fortunate enough, the 1.4 billion acres is totally arable land. Land that can be used for agriculture, for livestock rearing, or for forestry.
Yes.
So for us, we don't have a desert. We don't have land that we say we cannot use, apart from maybe the land that is with snow on top of Mount Kilimanjaro and on top of Mount Kenya.
Yes.
The rest of the land is arable, is good for wildlife, good for livestock rearing, good for agriculture, good for forestry. We are also the economic bloc with the largest number of lakes, the highest number of lakes.
True.
And very large lakes. Lake Victoria, for instance, is the biggest lake in Africa, the second largest freshwater lake in the world. We also have lakes like Lake Nakuru, Lake Naivasha, Lake Bogoria. Lake Tanganyika is the longest lake that we have in the world that can be used for blue economy. We have Lake Turkana, Lake Nyasi, formerly known as Lake Malawi, Lake Kivu. I can't name all of them. We have also water bodies in terms of rivers.
Yes.
The longest river in Africa and the second longest in the world is River Nile, that originates from the East African community and passes most of the countries of East African Community, including Uganda and Republic of South Sudan. We also have Congo River. Congo River is the river with the highest amount of water in the world.
Yeah.
It may not be the longest, but in
most
terms of
amount
the
of
volume,
water, yes,
it is the one that have the largest amount of water in the world. So in terms of blue economy, we are all strategically placed, and that's why we are saying investors should know that this, and actually investors in Kenya should know this. Again, we have a population of 350 million people.
That's a huge market.
That is a market larger than America.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people have been rushing to America. No. Rush to the East African Community because we are soon becoming the world superpower in terms of natural resources. Gold in Congo, by the way, Tanzanites. Don't even mention the gold because gold may be everywhere. Tanzanites are only found
in Tanzania.
Nowhere else in the world. So this economic bloc is one of the largest and one of the promising economic bloc. You know, again, in terms of wildlife, remove from the world map, remove Amboseli, remove Masai Mara, remove Tsavo, remove Serengeti,
yes,
remove the gorillas of Uganda and Rwanda.
Yes.
Then what do you remain in terms of wildlife in the world? The world become naked in terms of wildlife. So wildlife literally is East Africa.
Yes.
And East Africa is wildlife. So in terms of tourism, we have an edge. So the tourism hotels and the hospitality industries, if they actually concentrate on East Africa, they can make more money than what they are making in some very funny tourist sites of New York and Dubai and the zoos that are found elsewhere in the world.
Mheshimiwa, you've mentioned about tourism, but maybe we'll touch on it a bit later. But there is something you mentioned about the resources we have.
Yes.
When you collect and you add up everything that we have, it's a massive resource.
Yes.
The human resource, natural resources, you know, rivers and lakes and all these things. Clearly, we are self-sufficient.
Completely.
How do we harness all these riches and resources for the benefit of us collectively as a community?
The first step is for us to fight the political, socio-economic neocolonialism. Because we have been brainwashed. Our brains have been captured by the West and channel our brains towards what we call capital-intensive investments.
Okay.
And when you invest on capital-intensive investment as a poor country, even as a poor individual, you end up borrowing for you to be able to invest because this is a capital-intensive investment. Okay. It requires financial capital.
Yes.
What we want as an economic bloc, for us to break away from the chains of the political, social neocolonialism, socio-economic neocolonialism, is for us to realize that we are poor and we accept that we don't have money.
Yes.
So what we do is invest in human capital through what we call labor-intensive investment. Because as you know, our countries in Africa generally don't produce these TVs, don't produce cars. Toyota is produced in Japan, Mercedes in Germany, but nothing is produced in Africa.
Yes.
These laptops and these...
we only assemble.
Yes, all of them are produced elsewhere. But we also produce something in large quantities, and that is children.
Yes.
We produce human beings. So that is why, if we have to start now growing economically, let us channel our effort towards labor-intensive investment. In capital-intensive investment, this is what have put us in this hole of loans, of borrowing. But when you go to labor-intensive investment, then we are sure that we can create wealth to be able to fund later on the capital-intensive investment. I can give you an example. And this example I'm giving you from experience, because you have also asked me about what I have done as an individual.
Yes.
After my swearing in, that is on 17 December 2022, just 2 months, 3 days after my swearing in, that is on 20th February 2023,
yes,
I introduced a bill in the East Africa Legislative Assembly, which was passed, of us using local currencies within East Africa when we are doing
trade.
business.
Okay.
Any trade, inter-country trade of the member states of East Africa, we use our local currency. Meaning,
so we set aside the dollar.
yes.
We sell in shillings and...
yes, because that is another method of political, socio-economic neo-colonialism.
Yes.
You know why? If today I want to buy maize from Uganda, the first thing I do here before I go is change the Kenya shillings into dollars at a fee.
Yes.
And then once I'm in Uganda, those farmers don't know dollars.
You
I have to change
back.
dollars into Uganda shillings at a fee. So it end up consuming 10% of every trade that we do,
yes,
every transaction that we do within our member states. 10% for nothing, for selling air, for selling papers, 10% I'm buying maize from Uganda. So these are Kenyan called Sango.
yes,
Buying maize from Odongo,
from
Honorable
Uganda.
John Odonga from Uganda.
yes.
Pilipili usio ila ya kuasha nini? Where does America come? Why are they earning?
And yet you are neighbors.
That is why I said, if I go to Uganda, they either accept their Uganda shillings or my Kenya shillings.
Yes.
But the issue of dollar,
You set
do away.
aside.
You know, this socio-economic neocolonialism is so deep-rooted here in Kenya and in East Africa. You can imagine a hotel in Masai Mara, even here in Nairobi, where you are, my friend. Ask them to give you their brochure. How much do you charge for bed and breakfast?
Are indicated in dollars.
They will tell us we charge $100 per night, bed and breakfast. Idiots. Go to New York and ask them to give you rates in Kenya shillings.
They will never.
They have never given us rates in Kenya shillings. So why are we accepting this socio-economic neo-colonialism to be in our minds? Why don't we give in Kenya shillings? Let people convert their dollars into Kenya shillings. They pay us so that they see the cumbersome of carrying their dollars. Yes? If we will have forced them to buy our products in Kenya shillings, to pay our hotels in Kenya shillings, they will convert those dollars
to Kenya shillings
in the airport or in their motherland before they came. So we really have to break down, and that is one way in which we can grow. I have also told you, around 6 months and 11 months, that is on 6th December 2023, in our session that we are having in Kigali.
Yes.
I also introduced a bill that was passed, and I thank all the member states because they have always been supporting me, that we should ban importation of leather products and exportation of raw leather.
Yes.
You can imagine, my friend, and I can give you statistics because these are statistics. In Kenya, you guys slaughter 2.5 million cattle. Hiyo ni ng'ombe tu peke yake.
Yes.
Bila mbuzi, kondoo, ngamia na hizo zingine zote. Kwa hivyo hiyo ngozi ya ng'ombe peke yake ni 2.5 million. Another 1 million sinakufa kwa sababu ya ugonjwa na njaa. Na unajua ng'ombe ikikufa kwa sababu ya ugonjwa ni nyama ndio imegonjeka, ngozi haijagonjeka, bado inatumika. Huwezi kula nyama kwa sababu iko na ugonjwa, lakini ngozi itaweza tumika. Ng'ombe ikikonda, ngozi haikondi, ni nyama ndio inaisha, and become inedible. Sasa nyinyi mnachinja ng'ombe 3.5 million, ile ya kusulota for meat na ile ya kukufa. Lakini hiyo ngozi inakuliwa na umbwa na fisi. Kwa nini? Because you are importing 25 million pairs of leather shoes. So you can see the contradiction.
There is a farmer somewhere who is benefiting from selling shoes to this end.
Because that is social economic neocolonialism.
Yes.
Yani brain yako imekamatwa kabisa. Mpaka ati leather utumane iende China, itengenezwe uletewe ikiwa viatu. One leather inaweza toa 20 pairs of shoes. Hiyo kiatu nakuja kuuziwa ingine 50,000, ingine 2,000 the cheapest, so average ya 10,000. So hiyo ngozi ya ng'ombe yako yenye uliuza na 100 shillings inarudi kuwa 200,000.
Value addition hapa na pale
inakuwa 200,000.
Yes.
Kuna handbag hata 50,000.
Yes.
So you can imagine how we have been brainwashed, how we have been yani colonized. You see?
And
yani wewe
unapatia
ngozi yako ikuliwe na
fisi.
Na fisi. Na unajua nimeenda Australia. Nimeenda Netherlands, Switzerland. Ngozi ya ng'ombe iko na bei kuliko nyama ya ng'ombe. Kama ng'ombe inauzwa 50,000, unasikia mtu anakuja anasema ngozi ni 70,000.
So
sasa leta 50,000 ya nyama.
Mifugo juu ya ngozi.
Juu ya ngozi.
Nyama ni byproduct.
A byproduct. Sasa hapa sisi tunapoteza kwa sababu, and that is why nilileta bill ya kukataza importation of leather products.
Yes.
But exportation of
leather products.
Leather. Raw leather.
Yes.
Tusiuze raw leather yenye hajatengenezwa ng'ambo, na sisi hatusikubali viatu ya ngozi, wallet ya ngozi, mshipi ya ngozi ikuje hapa.
Na hizo bills.
Why did I decide on these two bills?
Yes.
It is because they are labor intensive.
Yeah.
Watu wetu hata kina baba yetu wamekuwa na mishipi ya ngozi.
Yes.
Wamekuwa nalalia ngozi kama mattress. Mimi nimelalia ngozi kama mattress. Baba zetu walikuwa wanavaa viatu ya ngozi yenye wanajitengenezea wenyewe. Umeona hao Wamasai yenye wanauza viatu ya ngozi hapa na pale. Mishipi. Ile ingine imeongezwa tire inaitwa nginyara ama akala, lakini wanatengeneza kidogo ikuwe maridadi kutumia shanga. Why don't we make them locally? Because what they require is labor intensive. Na nimekuambia we have no shortage of supply of human capital.
Yes.
Sisi wenyewe tuna export labor, tunapeleka watoto wetu Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Ili hali tutaweza wapatia kazi hapa kwa kutumia labor intensive. Saa hizi hiyo bili yangu nikiambia serikali kataza viatu ya ngozi ziingie huku, nimeitisha serikali pesa ngapi? I don't need money from the government. Automatically watu wataanza kuanza factory. Hata ule mwenye alikuwa anatuuzia viatu kutoka China ataona kwa sababu asikuji, yeye akuje mwenyewe hapa kwa sababu ngozi ndio hii, wafanyikazi wako hapa. Bas,
tengeneza viatu.
Ni kutengeneza viatu hapa na iko na soko.
Yes.
Kwa sababu watoto wetu wenye wanaenda shule hapa nje ya Kenya ni 9 million.
Yes.
By the way, East African community import 91 million pairs of shoes.
Yes.
So already the market is there. Lakini sisi these are labor intensive. Ile ingine ya currency, kukuambia wewe ukifanya biashara na Uganda tumia shillings ya Kenya ama shilingi ya Uganda. Ni nini tumeitisha serikali? Tumewaambia waenda waombe loan. Hakuna pesa sisi tunaitisha serikali. Ni ile tu sheria tukiweka kidogo basi sisi wenyewe tunakuza.
Na hii sheria especially this one ya currency. How far along is it in the parliament, in the EALA parliament, and how has the reception been?
Sisi tumepitisha, nilisupportiwa na all the member states. I thank them.
Yes.
Both of my bills have been passed, and my next bill is mambo ya furnitures, to ban importation of furnitures into East Africa. Kwa sababu pia hiyo ndio ingine ya labor intensive.
Yes.
You know why? Unahitaji nyundu, msumeno, randa na nini, yani vitu ya 10,000. Alafu uko na factory ya kutengeneza furnitures. Sasa inategemea style yako. Ukitengeneza furniture ya style mzuri, watu watanunua, bei inaenda juu.
Yes.
So kwa nini ati tunaleta kutoka China? Na iko na Congo forest, iko na Mao forest. We have the largest water tower. Nilikuambia our 1.4 billion acres of land is arable for forestry, for agriculture, for animal rearing. Yes. So yani meza
unaleta kutoka
tuna import. Ati na wale watu wanaenda kutengeneza huko wanabeba mbao kutoka huku. Ingine ni Dubai, haina hata mbao. Unajua Dubai ni desert. So it does not have any forest.
Yes.
Lakini vijana wetu wanaitwa huko
kwenda kufanya kazi.
Wanaenda kufanya kazi. Hao Waarabu hao hawezi fanya kazi ya kutengeneza viti. Watu wako na mafuta. So mambo ya kugonga vitu na nyundu na kujigonga vidole hao hawezi. Sasa ni vijana wetu bado wanaenda kutumia huko kama slaves. Wanatengeneza hizo furnitures alafu tunaletewa hapa na bei kali. Na ndio sababu hizo bills at least for the first 2 years of me being in EALA, nataka yote 2 imeshapita, imebaki moja. Kwa sababu nataka 3 kwanza nipitishe ya labor intensive. Na already hizi ile ambao tumepitisha, those bills are now with the head of state summit. Kwa sababu sisi pia East African Community ni kama serikali kama hii yenyu yenye iko hapa. Iko na 3 arms. Iko na legislative arm ambao ni sisi tunatengeneza sheria. Iko na executive arm ambao ni heads of state summit with the council of ministers.
Yes.
Ambao hao ndio wata sign hiyo sheria na kuimplement. Wana sign into law na wana implement.
So tuseme sasa wakipitisha ishapitishwa
iko kwa
iende kwa executive
head of
government,
head of state summit.
Yes.
That is the executive arm.
Yes.
Sasa kama tu president president akisha sign sasa inakuwa nini? Inakuwa sheria.
So lazima irudi back to
na ikikuwa sheria hiyo ni sheria from the regional parliament. So the other parliaments become hii ya kijiji. Sasa hiyo lazima
ifuatisha tu.
Ni kama sasa ukipitisha sheria National Assembly, kwani kuna county assembly yenye huwezi pitisha?
So hiyo county tukishasema tumeshasema community we are going this direction.
We are just waiting for the head of state summit waweke signature yao. The 8 presidents,
yes,
because hiyo ndio head of state summit,
yes,
and then inakuwa sheria. Na ikishakuwa sheria hii nyingine lazima mfuate.
So inakuwa tu the ministers wakutane, yes, watengeneze ile modality ya adopt
ya kuimplement.
Yes.
Just the way we internalize once we ratify the international instrument, they become part of our laws.
What about if we decide to go the route of tutafute currency yetu?
That is what I was coming to.
Yes.
Sasa nimekuambia iko na 3 arms.
Yes.
Nimekuambia legislative ni sisi.
Yes.
Executive ni head of state summit plus the council of ministers. And then the judiciary arm yenye bado iko hapa Kenya ni East African Court of Justice. Ile Martha Karua alikuwa anakimbilia kwenda kutafuta justice. So at the end of the day iko tu serikali kama ile nyingine.
Yes.
Now you had a very good question. What about tukiwa na our own currency? Now that one I will explain, but in the pillars of the East African community, because nguzo za hii economic block ni nini? We have only 4 pillars ambao tunangangana kuhakikisha kwamba they are implemented and we are good to go. We are good to become a building block for eventual formation of the United States of Africa.
Yes.
So hii 4 pillars, the first pillar is custom union.
Yes.
The second pillar is common market. The third pillar is monetary union. The fourth pillar is political union. Now let us go to the first one, custom union. You will really accept that he to may implement to almost 100%. Why do I say so? We have the East African passport, because custom union means free movement of people within the member states.
Yes.
Now we have East African passport, not Kenyan passport, not Uganda passport, East not Somali passport, but East African passport. You only write down there issued in Kenya, issued in Rwanda, issued in whatever, but it is the East African passport. It's like ID issued in Narok, another one issued in Voi, but you are all Kenyans.
Passport.
So because this one is East African passport, all the East African residents, the 350 million of them, can now move freely.
They cross borders.
The member states.
Yes.
Even now, we can move from Kenya to Uganda to Rwanda using national ID.
Yes.
The one that we have not yet ratified, even South Sudan, using ID. The ones we have not yet incorporated to be able to use their national ID to move throughout is the countries that their identity card does not have enough security features. So that to see pia fungue borders wakora waweze ingia. Kwa hivyo tumeweka, tunaongoja kidogo kama ile ya Burundi, tunapatia masharti hii ya yenyu bado ni karatasi yenye inajazwa na chief anaandika jina yako, anaandika date of birth na mkono,
na hiyo ni ID.
So mtu ataweza, yani hiyo ni ID. Nika booklet. Sasa mtu ataweza forge hiyo. So we want the one that have security features, so that at least iko na kidole, iko na nini, so that at least mtu asiweze kuforge. So those are the countries we are waiting for them to make the IDs that have security features. Pia tukue tunatumia ID. That is custom union.
Yes.
Let us go to the common market. Wewe utakubaliana na mimi kabisa bila ukora yeyote ya kwamba sasa bidhaa ambao zinatoka Kenya zitazauzwa DRC na ina move very freely bila interference na quickly, because nowadays we have what we call non-tariff barriers in our border post. We have a common border post. Mnakuja mnaingia yote kwa nyumba moja, unamaliziwa kila kitu, goods zako zina cross border. Yes. Lakini zamani ilikuwa unamalizana na Kenya, alafu unaingia
kidogo, unaingia tena ingine.
Unaingia ingine, alafu tena kuna masharti mingi, lakini siku hizi hakuna masharti. Ni kuangalia tu what is the origin. Kama zinatoka kwa member state, then we go freely kwa sababu
verify, just verify
the
origin of the goods.
The origin of the goods. That one have reduced the movement of goods from Mombasa to Kigali. It used to be 3 weeks, 1 month. Nowadays it is less than 5 days, because you just count how much time you'll use on the road, but not on the borders, points. Not in Busia border, not Malaba. In Gatuna Bosa border. So at least that one we have also implemented common market.
Yes.
Now the other pillar is, the third pillar is monetary union. Na hiyo mtatusamea kwa sababu bado hatuja makamilisha, lakini East Africa Legislative Assembly imeweka sheria zote mpaka ya kuwa na East African Central Bank. Tumeweka ya kuform modalities, everything, sisi tumeshapitisha hiyo sheria. Lakini what have been a problem kidogo ni balancing these currencies.
The values.
You know, the value of the Kenyan shillings to the dollar is 140.
Yes.
Yet the value of the
Uganda
Burundian franc to the dollar is 2,500.
Yes.
No, 140 and 2,500. Trying to balance them is also...
It might devalue our currency.
Yes, inakuwa pia changamoto kidogo.
Yes.
Because we have to have experts who can now tell us how will the Kenya retain their strength, while the others also come up to meet with us there. And that's why nilileta kwanza bill as a precursor. Ya kwamba kwanza tuachane na mambo ya dola. Tutumie local currency in our own business. Tena nikinunua gari kutoka Japan will either accept their Japanese yen or our own Kenya shillings. Wasiniambie mambo na dola. The moment we do that, we reduce the burden and we strengthen our currencies. You know, this issue of the dollar is deep, and that is socio-economic neo-colonialism.
Yes.
Because Kenya borrowed 10 billion. You fanya hiyo hesabu, 10 billion US dollars. That time the exchange rate was 75 or 80. So that was 800 billion Kenya shillings. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Now, without interest, the dollar have gone to juicy 165.
Yes.
It become 1.6 trillion. Bila dollar.
Just like that.
Just because of fluctuation.
Pesa ni ile ulikopa.
Pesa ni ile ulikopa.
Iliisha hata kitambo.
Hata bado hujalipa interest. Umeambiwa kwa sababu dola imebadilika. Ulikuwa na 800 billion Kenya shillings loan deni, lakini sasa imekuwa 1.6 trillion. Yaani umeomba milioni 1
kidogo
deni kidogo kwa sababu dola imechange rate, unaambiwa uko na milioni 3 deni sure bila interest,
na hujakopa kitu kingine.
You see how we are being colonized. How do we pay?
You are kept in perpetual poverty.
Borrowing.
Yes.
Unaona? And that is why mimi nilisema nilete hii bill ndio tuanze kuweka hii our local currencies ikuwe strong. Na unaona hiyo bill by the way ikuwa implemented, we will break from the chains of political, socio-economic neo-colonialism before we form the United States of Africa. And I believe we will form the United States of Africa in our lifetime. Na unajua Mungu anatuongelesha. Wewe umeona ng'ombe yangu iko na ramani ya Afrika, iko na map of Africa, iko na Comoros Island, Madagascar, na iko na mpaka Horn of Africa. Utaenda kutafuta hiyo ng'ombe na uangalie, iko pale kwangu. Hata bado iko saa hizi. Na juzi nilikuwa na wabunge wote wa East African
pale Osim
wakikuja kuangalia hiyo ng'ombe, kwa sababu God is speaking to us through the cow, just the way he spoke to the Christians through Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ alizaliwa wapi? Kwa zizi la ng'ombe.
Yes.
Ama alizaliwa wapi? Wacha kusema
zizi la ng'ombe actually.
Si kwa zizi la ng'ombe?
Yes.
Mungu ako na njia ya kuongea na sisi. Aliongea na sisi kupitia kwa mtoto wake, lakini kwa zizi la ng'ombe.
Yes.
Hii ng'ombe yangu iko na map of Africa, ramani ya Afrika. Na Mungu anatuongelesha tu. Juzi wakati tulikuwa tunakampenia Raila Odinga akuwe chairman of African Union Commission, Ruto walienda kukutana na Raila na Museveni wapi?
Kwa zizi la ng'ombe.
Ndani hakuwa na state house ya kukutana? State house ya Entebbe, state house ya Kampala, state house ya Nairobi, mbona waliacha? State lodge ya Nakuru, mbona waliacha yote? Wakaenda kwa ng'ombe. Kwa sababu God is speaking to us that Africa must be united. And I'm telling you, there will be the United States of Africa very soon.
Very soon.
And it will be the world superpower. Na tutaweza sema kuanzia leo, wazungu kaeni na vitu zenyu na sisi tukae na yetu. Tutakosa magari, kwa hivyo hatutaweza kutransport vizuri, tutaweza kumove from one place to another place. Tutakosa hii simu communication, itakuwa zero, itakuwa tutaenda analog, but we will survive.
Yeah.
Them watakosa chakula. They will die and then we'll go and collect those cars and those phones free of charge. Yes.
Umemention about...
Tukisema kila mtu aishi kwa mama yake.
Yes.
Kila mtu aishi kwake. Tuache upusi.
Yes. You've mentioned about mambo ya Raila Odinga na AU, na hiyo ni point moja nataka tukuje tuguzie tukirudi kutoka mapumziko kidogo. We'll go to a short break, then we come back and pick up from there. We talk about the local politics. It's actually not local anymore. It's more of Pan-African agenda of pushing for Raila.
Wewe uliza swali yote kwa sababu Mungu alininyima mguu na akanipatia mdomo. So anything you ask. So
tunashukuru sana kwamba uko hapa, tunataka kuendelea kuongea na wewe na tutarudi after a short break.
Thank you.
Chitab Kalenjin kitestai ngalali in studio nebo Kass TV tetutiet nebo IKWENY EMET kemiten ak Mheshimiwa David Ole Sankok, inendet ko MP nebo EALA noto ko East African Legislative Assembly, ako inendet kakomuch kongalwech akobo tetutik chetesetai en EAC, East African Community, choto chetinyegei ak bandab tai nebo emotinwek chesisit chemiten en kibagengeit anan kotetabgei nebo emotinwek choto. Kibendi kimuny kasarta nenwach yekiwege kengalali akobo bolotet noto mising netinyegei ak kandoindet noto nebo chamaitab ODM Raila Odinga ak magenyi nebo ko inendet kobo konam boroindo nebo koik nebo ngecheret en committee noto netinyegei anan tononjin OAU anan AU, African Union, ko noto meloitu kainenyu ko Victor Korir kiweksei en nematian.